everyone. I'm Jeff Hullinger with 11 Alive here in Atlanta. Welcome to the Atlanta Press Club Loudermilk-Young debate series from the studios of Georgia Public Broadcasting. This is the general election debate among candidates for insurance commissioner. Let's meet the candidates for this debate. They are in alphabetical order. John King, a Republican. He is the incumbent insurance commissioner for the state of Georgia. Janice Robinson, a Democrat, is an insurance professional. Now let's meet our panelists. Orlando Montoya is a producer for Georgia Public Broadcasting. Maya Prabhu is a Georgia government and political reporter for the AJC, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. For complete rules on today's debate, please visit the Atlanta Press Club website, atlantapressclub.org/debates. To start the debate, each candidate will be asked one question by each panelist. Candidates have 60 seconds to answer each question. Maya Prabhu, you get the first question directed toward Commissioner John King.
Commissioner King, many Georgians may not realize the role of the insurance commissioner also includes responsibilities such as overseeing building inspections and serving as the state's fire marshal. What are things that you've done and things that you hope to do to make sure that buildings are safe, both structurally and from fire?
Thank you, Maya. When I first took over this office, there was complete disarray. And it was the office was completely disorganized, and we would just embarked on a reorganization, a fundamental reorganization of this office, focusing on safety of the public. Coming from as a police chief, as a law enforcement officer, but as a military officer, focus on the safety of the public. And so we started looking at not only new growth in our state, but also making sure that we have the elements, going to the legislature and seeking additional funding so we could bolster the capabilities of this office. I am now proud that we have now our state fire marshal, our arson investigators have K-9, so we have trained investigators spread across the state. No fire chief has to wait more than 90 minutes to have a trained investigator with a K-9 to help investigate suspicious fires, and something that we're very proud of.
Orlando Montoya, it is your turn to ask a question of Janice Robinson.
Janice Robinson, you are running without any previous experience serving in public office against an incumbent. What do you believe makes you qualified to fill the role, and what is the main thing you would like to do differently if elected?
When elected as insurance commissioner, I am the only person in this race that is licensed and credentialed in all lines of insurance. I have worked with Georgia families for more than 2 decades, helping them to protect, rebuild their lives, and keep premiums in their pocket. I've been a leader my entire life. And make no mistake about it, insurance is not political, it is not partisan. Insurance is the backbone of our society, and we deserve an insurance commissioner that is licensed, experienced, and knows how to navigate the insurance industry. And I'm the only person in this race with those credentials. I will fight every single day to serve all Georgia families, just like I've done for more than 2 decades.
Maya, your question for Janice Robinson, please.
Ms. Robinson, in 2008, the General Assembly took away the insurance commissioner's power to approve new auto rates before they took effect. Both you and Commissioner King have said that you support legislation that would give the power back to the commissioner. But you've also said that while legislation would help, the commissioner already has tools to make sure Georgians aren't overpaying for insurance. What are those tools, and how would you use them?
Great question. The job of the insurance commissioner is to advocate for Georgia families. I've worked in the industry for more than 2 decades, serving everyday, hardworking Georgia families. I will do what Mr. King has not done, which is stand up and fight for you and your family. I will challenge every single rate increase that comes across my desk. I will make insurance companies prove that these rates are justified. And if they cannot justify these rates to my liking, they will see me in court.
Mr. King, since you were mentioned, I believe that you deserve a rebuttal here. So
thank you very much. Fundamentally, The insurance commissioner does not get to make up the law as they're going by. You have to work within the confines of the law. I have grown up in an environment that we obey the law. If we don't like the law, we go and advocate for a change in the law, and that is what I will do. I will continue doing, and I will use the last disaster that we have with Allstate, which increased the rates for insurance auto insurance customers by over 25%. I plan to go, and I already started working with the leadership of both houses of the legislature to change that law.
And that's time. Orlando, you get the final question this round for John King.
John King, consumers complain that there are few choices for private health insurance in some parts of the state, and that contract disputes between insurers and hospitals have left them unable to get care. What is your plan to improve these health insurance market problems for consumers?
Well, thank you. That's perhaps one of the biggest challenges that we have in today's marketplace. And so we already started working closely with the governor's team to bring additional carriers all across the state. And we already started making some significant differences. And we're starting to see a reduction in rates, especially in rural parts of our state. We brought the 95% of our counties are now covered by more than one carrier, which is a significant change from when we started in this office. Now, the challenge here is we're working on bringing additional options. Now, I am prohibited by law from getting involved in contract negotiations between hospital systems and the insurance company. And so I'm working closely with the legislature to change what we're starting to see as a pattern of behavior by hospital systems and insurance companies to use consumers as hostages, especially in front of open enrollment. And so I am determined to change that, working closely with the legislature so we can stop this practice.
And that concludes the first round of the debate. The candidates will now ask a question to their opponent. Each candidate will have 30 seconds to ask the question, 60 seconds to respond. And the candidate who asks the question will have 30 seconds for a rebuttal. By random selection, Janice Laws-Robinson, you may ask the first question.
Thank you. Mr. King, you were never elected to this office. You were appointed by the current governor, even though you had no licenses or background in the insurance industry. Both Democrats and Republicans have expressed frustration of your lack of willingness to fight on behalf of Georgia families. Republicans have even accused you of rubber stamping rate increases. Why should any Georgia voter give you their vote?
Well, thank you. I will tell you that we've had lots of insurance commissioners who had lots of licenses. And the person that, the folks have always lost has been the Georgia consumers. So having a license to sell insurance, it is not the prerequisite requirements to be effective in this office. You have to be accountable. You have to have a history of accountability and a history of service. Oh, by the way, there's also the fire marshal duties of this important office. And so I'm not worried about the concerns of politicians being that I'm rubber stamping. The insurance industry knows that I have negotiated hard negotiations with them to continue having the cost of insurance to be lower and to have additional competition in our state. And most of all, attracting industry to come into our state so we can drive the cost of insurance by competition in private enterprise.
All right, John King, you get the next question.
Yes,
I
Janice.
get a rebuttal.
I'm going to step in here. I'm going to correct myself. You're going to get a rebuttal since you were mentioned.
That's correct.
I get a 30-second rebuttal.
Yes.
As you know, Mr. King was appointed to this role, and he has not done anything for us as Georgians. Year after year, we continue to see premiums rise, and if he was going to do anything about these rates, it would have already been done. I'm the only candidate for the last 5 years that been working hard for this job. I will do this job. I will work diligently every single day to make sure that you are represented, you have a voice, and you are heard. Thank you so much for your support.
All right, Mr. King, now you're up. You get the next question.
Thank you. Janice, Janice, I know that you have made some incredible statements. You promised a great deal of the power of the office, but first of all, the authorities are not there. Now, you have talked about building 6 offices across the state. And you must be aware that the Office of Planning and Budget has directed that all agencies continue having flat budgets. What are you going to cut out of the current office to be able to develop the 6 offices that you plan to have across the state?
Republicans after Republicans in this office have cried that the insurance commissioner cannot do anything about our rate increases, that their hands are tied, that the office doesn't have powers to do this and that. I am tired of Republicans whining and complaining that they cannot do anything about what needs to be done for the crisis that we're facing in Georgia. As I travel the state, most Georgians do not have any idea that we have an insurance commissioner's office or an insurance commissioner. I am committed to opening the ears of the insurance commissioner's office, to opening the gates of the insurance commissioner's office, and I will have regional office all across the state. So whether you're urban, suburban, or rural Georgia, you have a seat at the table and you have your voices heard, and that is my commitment and that is my promise.
Mr. King, you get a rebuttal.
Thank you. Clearly, you decided not to answer the question that I asked. But this is typical. This is typical what we see on the opposition party, on not addressing the fundamental problems. You know, our office has been focused on not making Georgia citizens come and kiss the ring of the government to get the government to do their job. We go out to the state, we travel around the state, we talk to consumers, we talk to the folks in cities and communities, and we go to them instead of them coming to kiss the ring of the government to get them to do their job.
That concludes our second round. And for those just joining us, this is the general election debate between the candidates for insurance commissioner. We are now going to go back to the panel to ask questions to the candidate of their choice until we run out of time. And as the moderator, I will determine when a rebuttal is appropriate. That's one of the joys of being the moderator, is you're sort of like your own ruler. You get to make the rules sometimes, and that's what we'll do here. Orlando Montoya, you get the first question in this round.
Question to Janice Laws Robinson. Consumers complain that there are, consumers complain that there are few choices for private health insurance in some parts of the state. What is your plan to improve market conditions for consumers?
Thank you for the question. As the next insurance commissioner, number one, I will expand access to telehealth care. I will ensure that we expand the number of insurers on the healthcare marketplace so that every Georgian has access to plans that they need. Because we have seen hospitals after hospitals close here in Georgia, and that's unacceptable. Because Georgians will seek care, and they need to be able to pay for it. As your next insurance commissioner, I will ensure that Georgians have an insurance card in their pocket, and I will work to support the expansion of Medicaid, because all of these workarounds that I've seen in our state, wasting taxpayers' dollars and that are costing the lives of everyday Georgians, is unacceptable. We need to stop putting politics over people and expand Medicaid.
Maya Prabhu, it is your turn to ask a question.
This question is for both of you. When the General Assembly passed legislation that aims to, among other things, require insurance companies to cover mental health in the same way they cover physical health, the popular refrain was that this was just the beginning. What specific legislation would you like to see the legislature address to help you enforce parity in your role as insurance commissioner? Commissioner King.
Well, thank you. You know, we were big supporters of this unprecedented House Bill 1013. And the role of the insurance commissioner's office is to show the report card of insurance companies' performance in delivering what the state law requires. And so I'm very proud to be a supporter of this legislation from very early stages. Why? Because I've worked on the streets of our state. Well, I've worked as a police officer dealing with mental health and drug addictions on our states, and focus also on the plight of veterans who desperately need this. And so I will continue working with the legislature. I will continue working with advocates to make sure that Georgia, for once, starts paying attention to this important problem that is affecting all of us.
Orlando Montoya?
That was for both.
Okay.
Yes, I think we've made some tremendous strides in passing House Bill 1013. That is exciting for all of us. As the next insurance commissioner, I will hold insurance companies accountable to taking care of both mental and physical health. Because whether it's mental health or physical health, every Georgian deserves to have access to this care. And I will do everything in my power to hold them accountable and make sure that every Georgian, whether you are old, young, veteran, senior, any category that you fall in, I am the insurance commissioner that will make sure that you're taken care of, because I'm committed to working just like I've worked for the past 2 decades to serving Georgia families, whether it's mental health, physical health, or any way that I can serve. That's what I will do.
Orlando, your turn.
John King, you mentioned in your previous response your background in public safety and the military. How have you used that experience to inform your decisions during your time as commissioner?
Because thank you. Because I am not owned by insurance companies or even a party. I come from the environment where you have to deliver. You have to deliver common sense solutions. I'm very proud of being able to have look at things objectively and not be and not really be driven by a side agenda. We look at common problems, coming out with practical solutions to deliver for Georgia consumers. At the end of the day, I never forget who I serve. I serve Georgia consumers, and there's my primary and only goal is to protect Georgia consumers.
Maya Prabhu.
This question is again for both candidates. Incumbent insurance commissioners have traditionally received many contributions from insurance executives, small loan companies' owners, and others whose industry your agency regulates. Should a candidate for insurance commissioner be allowed to take campaign contributions from the people he or she regulates? And if so, why? And we can start with Ms. Laws Robinson.
I've always stood that candidates for insurance commissioners should not take funds from the insurance companies or their PACs. As everyone can see, I'm not raising millions of dollars. I get funds from the people I serve and my colleagues. And traditionally, the insurance commissioners have been owned by the insurance industry. I will not be bought by the insurance industry. My campaign is people-powered. I get small donations from everyday Georgians just like you. And that's what I do, and that's what I will continue to do. And I will bring my decades of experience to serve Georgia families and to keep premiums in their pockets.
Mr. King.
Thank you. You know, we've worked very hard to get a broad support across the state, but that hasn't shied me away from enforcing the rules. I have held the largest insurance carrier accountable, issuing the largest fine in Georgia history for Anthem for their misconduct. And so it has not driven any behavior, any campaign contribution does not drive any of the actions that we do. We're holding people accountable, we're holding companies accountable, and I'm determined to continue making progress in helping get Georgian citizens affordable health care and any other line of insurance that we regulate.
Mr. Montoya.
Janice Laws Robinson, you'll most likely have to work with a Republican-led state legislature if you're elected. How do you plan to support or push for efforts to expand health insurance coverage in Georgia when working with that GOP legislature that is against full Medicaid expansion?
Thankfully, I have worked with Georgia families for more than 2 decades. And throughout my years of working with Georgians, I've worked with both Democrats and Republicans. I've had customers across the state that came from both parties. And thankfully, insurance is not a super partisan issue. Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, no one wants to overpay for their insurance. And so I foresee working very well with whoever is in the minority, whoever is in the majority, because this issue impacts all of our everyday lives. Insurance is the backbone of society, and everyone wants lower rates. Everyone wants insurance companies to be accountable, and everyone wants access to quality, affordable health care. So that will be my focus, and I will continue to work just like I've done for the last 2 decades.
Maya Prabhu.
Also for both candidates. Back to Commissioner King for this one. Many Georgians earlier this year turned their attention to elevator inspections after the death of an 18-year-old man in Atlanta. What needs to be done to the way elevators are inspected in Georgia to ensure that people are safe?
You know, Maya, thank you very much for bringing that up, because it's still an incredible tragedy. This office was not equipped. When I took over, it was not equipped to track not only new elevator inspections, but existing elevator inspections. We have put millions of dollars into developing database and putting inspectors to track not only new construction elevator installations, but existing. And I'm working on the legislature to hold the owners of these buildings who are responsible for this incredible tragedy that treated the residents of 444. My God, it's 2022, and we still have in Atlanta the conditions of that building is completely inhumane. And so we're working. We investigated the case. We sanctioned the owner of that building. I have forwarded the file to the district attorney of Fulton County for prosecution of this owner of this building. And I will work with the legislature, both parties, to make sure that we have additional authorities to hold building owners accountable for the equipment in their building.
And that is time. Ms. Laws Robinson?
Yes, it was very tragic that we lost a student in this elevator accident. What's also tragic is just this morning, someone texted me. They were on an elevator, and they texted me the expired elevator certificate with Mr. King's name on it. This inspection expired on 3/2022. So this elevator inspection expired March of 2022. So whatever Mr. King and his office have done has been insufficient to correct this issue. I am committed to making sure that we have enough inspectors across the state so that our elevators, our building, and our families and our students are safe. So whatever they've done, it's not worked. I ask you for your support to help me to be your next insurance commissioner so we can get this done.
And that is all the time we have for the questions. Each candidate will now have 60 seconds for a closing statement. John King, you get the first closing statement.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the Atlanta Press Club for the opportunity to come and lay out our vision of what we will see in our administration for the next 40 years. And I'm grateful, first of all, to Governor Kemp for allowing me the opportunity to serve. 3.5 years ago, I was appointed to be the insurance commissioner. I come from law enforcement. I come from the military. It's a culture of accountability. And that's exactly what we've done. We've gotten this office back on its tracks, focused on protecting Georgia consumers. We've recovered over $40 million back into consumers' pockets as a result of our investigations of insurance companies. We've held the largest insurance carrier accountable and held them and fined them the largest fine in Georgia history. And we will continue doing so to make sure that Georgia consumers are protected. I am grateful for this opportunity, and I'm respectfully asking for your support and your vote. Muchísimas gracias por esta oportunidad, y les agradezco la oportunidad y el apoyo por el voto de este estado. Gracias.
Janice Laws Robinson, you get the final closing statement.
The insurance commissioner's role is a critical role here in our state. Insurance impacts all of our everyday lives. We deserve an insurance commissioner that is licensed, experienced, and knows how to navigate the insurance industry. I will bring my 2 decades of experience working with Georgia families just like you, protecting their lives and keeping premiums in their pockets to this office. I ask you for your vote and your support on November 8th to be your next insurance commissioner. You will see there is an incumbent on your ballot when you go to vote, but just remember, you never elected this person. He was appointed, and he has not done a good job for us, and these promises have failed, so there's no reason to elect him this time. I ask you to vote Janice Laws Robinson to be your next insurance commissioner, and you will never be disappointed. Thank you.
And that concludes our debate. We would like to remind voters, Election Day, Tuesday, November 8th, and the early voting begins October 17th. Thanks to the candidates and to our panel of journalists. We also would like to thank the Atlanta Press Club for arranging today's debate. For more information about the debates they will host this election season, visit atlantapressclub.org/debates. I'm Jeff Hullinger. Thanks for joining us for the Atlanta Press Club Loudermilk-Young Debate Series.